Uh-oh, here comes the magic school bus. That means that Ms. Frizzle is about to take us on another weird trip. You have no idea what she makes us go through, but you're about to find out, thanks to Joanna Cole, who wrote all about us in The Magic School Bus Explores the Senses, and Bruce Deegan, who drew the pictures. If you want to come along, climb on board and bring your book. Not all the words in the book are on this tape, but you can still follow along. Just turn the page when you hear this sound. Our class was studying the senses, how people and animals know what's going on around them. We were doing experiments and writing reports. We were even learning a song about the senses to sing at an important parent-teacher meeting. The day before the meeting, we practiced our song 20 times.
Hear a school bell ring, see a bright light shine, touch a cat's soft fur, you'll be just in time to come to your senses.
Without our senses, we'd be out of it. By Carlos. If someone could not see, hear, feel, taste, or smell, that person would not be able to tell anything about the outside world.
It would have been easier if we had an ordinary teacher. But we don't. We have Ms. Frizzle. Looking at her dress made us forget the tune. Her shoes made us forget the words. And her wacky personality made us forget almost everything else.
Class, the show is tomorrow evening.
Taste a school bell ring, smell a bright light shine.
Somehow, I don't think we'll be ready. Every Animal Needs Senses by Arnold. Without senses, an animal cannot find food or escape from danger.
I see you, I hear you, I smell you. I see, hear, and smell you too.
Even the tiniest animals have senses. By Keisha. One-celled animals have simple senses. They can tell when their surroundings are too hot, too cold, or too poisonous. Then they turn around and go the other way.
I may be microscopic, but I'm sensitive.
Which senses are most important? By Phil. Different kinds of animals rely on different senses. Seeing is most important to birds. They can't find food if they can't see it. Bats use hearing to tell them where they're going. They can't hunt if their ears are blocked. Snakes smell the air with their forked tongues. If a snake's tongue isn't working, it's hard for it to find its prey.
That smells yummy.
When the school day was over, we went outside to warm up for a game. After a while, Ms. Frizzle came out and got in her car. At the same moment, Mr. Wild, our new assistant principal, called to us.
See you at the meeting tonight.
Tonight? We groaned. Miss Frizzle thinks it's tomorrow.
I have to tell her,
said Mr. Wild. But it was too late. The Frizz was already driving away.
I've got to catch up with Miss Frizzle,
said Mr. Wild. To our surprise, he got behind the wheel of our bus. Believe us, we've had a lot of experience with that bus. We couldn't let Mr. Wild drive it, not all by himself. After all, he's only an assistant principal. He's not Miss Frizzle. We all jumped on board.
Mr. Wild is a great assistant principal, but I don't think he can handle the bus.
He does seem like a quiet sort of guy.
He needs our help.
Come back, Miss Frizzle.
Our top senses by Wanda. Seeing and hearing are the two most important senses for humans. Stop.
Look. Listen.
As Ms. Frizzle went faster, some papers blew out of her car. They were her teacher's notes about the senses. They came flying in the windows of our bus, and we saved them for her. Mr. Wilde drove carefully out of the parking lot. We were only a few cars behind the Frizz. We would catch up to her in no time.
Don't lose sight of Miss Frizzle.
No problem.
She's hard to miss.
That's an unusual car. I'll keep my eye on it.
Then Mr. Wilde saw a little green switch on the dashboard.
Green means go.
He muttered to himself, reaching for the switch. "Don't touch it," we warned. But it was too late. Mr. Wilde flipped the switch. He had never been in a school bus like this one before, but we had plenty of times. We knew that something impossible was going to happen, and it did. The bus began to shrink.
All I did was touch one little switch.
Friedel is right.
What Makes Your Eyes Move by Florey. There are 6 muscles attached to each of your eyeballs. They move the eyes in different directions. Up, down, side to side.
Owls can't move their eyes, so they have to turn their heads to look around.
The bus shrank until it was no bigger than a speck of dust. A stiff breeze started up and blew us into the air. Ahead, we saw a big blue circle. In the middle of the circle was a black dot. It was a giant eye. The eye belonged to a police officer, and we blew right into it.
Whoops. I have something in my eye.
Your iris is all muscle, by Gregory. The colored part of your eye, the iris, is a ring of muscle. But your pupil is nothing at all. The dark spot in the middle of your iris is actually an opening into your eye, the pupil. Your pupil is protected by a tough, clear layer called the cornea.
Before the officer could blink us out, Mr. Wilde saw a rainbow-colored lever. "Leave the lever alone!" we yelled, but he couldn't resist. He pulled the lever, and the bus slid smoothly through the cornea, the clear covering that protects the iris and the pupil. Beyond the cornea, we passed through a sea of clear liquid, past the blue iris, and through the pupil.
Who knew driving a bus was so much fun?
Asked Mr. Wilde.
I'm driving into an eye? I can't believe it, Phoebe.
At my old school, pupils never went into a pupil.
My class is really into the human eye.
They better look out.
A word from Dorothy Ann. Iris comes from a word that means rainbow. A rainbow has lots of colors. Irises come in many colors too. Brown, black, blue, hazel, green, and gray.
Frizzle fact. When the muscles of the iris tighten, the pupil gets smaller. Then less light enters your eye. When the muscles relax, the pupil gets larger. More light gets in. Try this and see.
Your pupils get smaller in bright light and bigger in dim light.
Your eye is like a living camera by Phil. Your pupil is like the camera's aperture, opening, which lets in light. Your lens is like the camera's glass lens, which focuses the light. Your retina is like the film, which changes when light hits it. Say cheese.
Mr. Wilde was going wild.
I should have been a school bus driver instead of an assistant principal,
he exclaimed as we slipped through the clear lens of the eye. We weren't the only ones going through. Rays of light went through also. The lens focused the light to make a sharp picture on the retina, a layer of cells on the back of the eye.
I'm actually driving through the lens.
I guess Mr. Wilde isn't so quiet after all.
Our bus is having a weird effect on him.
Let's go to the retina.
said Mr. Wilde, gunning the engine. There was no stopping him now. The teacher's notes said the retina is made up of special cells called rods and cones. These cells change the light that falls on them. The pattern of light becomes a pattern of nerve signals going to the brain.
It's like translating one language into another,
said Tim.
The rods and cones translate light language into nerve language.
We're using our own cones and rods to see someone else's cones and rods.
Rods and cones. What's the difference? By Ralphie. We need both rods and cones for good vision. Cone cells let us see clearly and in color. They work best in bright light. When we use rod cells, our vision is blurry and we cannot see colors. However, we need rods to see in dim light. Cones are good for day vision. Rods are good at night.
Should I get the green shoes or the blue?
Both colors are great.
Mr. Wilde had forgotten all about delivering his message to the Frizz. All he cared about was driving the bus. All we cared about was finding Ms. Frizzle. Keisha flipped through the teacher's notes, trying to figure out where we were.
Look, here's a map of the retina,
she said.
The spot in the center of the retina is the fovea. That's the part of the eye we use when we look directly at something. Why Your Foveas Look Sharp by Shirley. The fovea is covered with cone cells, only cone cells. They are good for seeing sharply. Foveas in action. Try this. Watch people reading. Do their eyes move back and forth? Why? People's eyes move to keep their foveas aimed at the words they are reading.
Turn around, Mr. W.
Take our advice.
I'm through taking advice. From now on, I'm taking chances.
What is it about people who drive this bus?
What's the other round spot on the retina, we asked.
It's called the blind spot,
answered Keisha.
Everyone is blind in that little spot of the eye. It's where all the nerves in the eye come together. They form a bundle called the optic nerve, which runs from the eye to the brain.
A smile spread over Mr. Wilde's face as he steered the bus into the optic nerve.
Vroom, vroom! I get to drive to a brain.
It's a good place to do some thinking.
Maybe we'll think of a way to reach the Frizz.
Why Can't the Blind Spot See? By Keisha. Because there are no rods or cones on that spot. Make Miss Frizzle's shoe disappear. Here's how to do it. Hold this book at arm's length in front of your face. Cover your right eye. Look at the X with your left eye. Move the book slowly toward your face and then away again. When the shoe disappears, stop. The image of the shoe is right on your blind spot.
Your brain. It's not just for thinking. By Phoebe. A thin, wrinkled layer covers your brain like the rind of a melon. This is the cerebral cortex. Different parts of the cortex let you think, talk, remember, move, see, hear, taste, smell, and touch.
We rolled out onto the surface of the brain. It's called the cerebral cortex.
We have to keep track of the Frizz,
said Ralphie.
Look for the part of the cortex that gets messages from the eyes.
Everyone scrambled off the bus and spread out. Wanda called from the back of the brain.
Here it is!
We ran to join Wanda on the vision center of the brain. Somehow, we saw what Officer Jones saw.
We found the brain's vision center. Now we can see Miss Frizzle. So that's where she gets her clothes.
Where is your vision center? Put your hand on the back of your head, just above your neck. Your hand will be right over the vision center.
Frizzle fact. You can't see with your eyes alone. You need your brain, too.
There was Ms. Frizzle in a dress shop buying a dress with optical illusions on it.
It's perfect for you. I can't wait till my students see it.
We called for help, but of course she couldn't hear us. She didn't know that Mr. Wilde was driving the bus. She didn't know that her class was in a brain. She didn't know that everything was totally out of control, and we couldn't tell her.
Sometimes your brain makes mistakes, by Wanda. Fool your brain with these optical illusions. Which dress is bigger? Both are the same size. But because of the background, your brain thinks the red dress is smaller. Measure and see. Is it an A or an H? Meow! Read this. These two letters are shaped exactly the same, but because of the words they are in, your brain tells you one is an H and the other is an A.
Then we felt something rumbling. Officer Jones was on his motorcycle riding away. We had to stay close to the Frizz. We jumped on the bus and Mr. Wilde swerved back onto the path of nerves that led to the eye. Our bus teetered on the edge of the eyelid, then dropped through the eyelashes. When we looked down, we saw an ear.
Look at your ears, by Alex. The part you can see is called the auricle, or pinna. It has no bones. Inside the auricle is a tough, bendable material called cartilage. The opening in the ear leads to the ear canal. Together, the auricle and the ear canal make up your outer ear. There's more to your ear than meets the eye, by Amanda Jane. Most of your ear is deep inside your head. You can't see it. We have to get out of here. We have to get closer to the Frizz.
We have to get accident insurance.
Look at me. No hands.
We were falling into the ear of a little kid who was looking in a toy store window. We went straight into his ear canal. Whoosh. We slid all the way down.
Here we come. I think you mean, here we come.
Time to leave, Richie. Coming, Mom.
Can you wiggle your auricles? By Carlos. Some people can move their outer ears. So can many animals. Animals that have large auricles use them as collectors to funnel sounds into the ear.
At the end of the ear canal, we hit a thin, stretchy membrane called the eardrum. We came tumbling out of the bus just as some sound waves entered the ear.
Time to leave, Richie.
They made the eardrum vibrate. We vibrated right along, through the eardrum and into the middle ear. So did our bus.
Eardrums sure are bouncy.
That must make them vibrate better.
Just like real drums.
Frizzle warning. Take care of your drums. Never put anything in your ear, especially not a busload of children.
What are sound waves? By Tim. When something moves back and forth rapidly, the air around it moves too. These movements are sound waves or vibrations.
When a bell rings. By Rachel. 1. Clapper hits bell. 2. Bell vibrates. 3. Sound waves go through air. 4. Waves enter your ear. 5. Your hearing system starts to work. 6. You hear the bell ring.
There was nothing in the middle ear except air and 3 ossicles, small bones that carry sound vibrations. Sound waves traveled from one bone to the next. We went to, and the bus rolled behind us.
I'm climbing giant bones.
These ossicles seem big to us, but they are actually the smallest bones in the human body.
We're actually the smallest human bodies in these bones.
A word from Dorothy Ann. Ossicle comes from a word that means little bone.
Name That Bone by Molly. Your 3 ossicles are called Anvil, Hammer, Stirrup. They have these names because they look a bit like these objects. Then we came to another stretchy membrane. This one was called the oval window. The last ossicle, the stirrup, was resting right on top of it. Dorothy Ann read from Ms. Frizzle's notes.
Children, the oval window separates the middle ear from the inner ear.
Inner ear? Here we come,
shouted Wanda as we went through. We were going to the inner ear, whether we liked it or not.
Time to leave, Richie. Coming, Mom.
I'm shaking like a leaf.
I'm shaking like an ossicle.
It's all these sound waves.
So far, all the parts of the ear had only one job, to carry vibrations. In the inner ear, we saw the part that receives vibrations, the cochlea. We swam through the liquid inside the cochlea. We saw cells that looked like tiny hairs. Ms. Frizzle's note said, hair cells are sound receptors. They translate sound vibrations into nerve signals. As soon as we were on the bus again, Mr. Wilde followed the nerve signals along the auditory nerve.
Wow! I get to drive into the brain twice!
Once was not enough?
Frizzle warning. Very loud noises can damage the hair cells in your inner ears.
This includes loud music.
Turn down the volume.
Can You Comb Your Hair Cells? By John. No, hair cells aren't really hairs. They just look like them. The hair cells in your ear have the same kind of job as the cones and rods in your eye. Both kinds of cells take in a form of energy, either light or sound waves, and change it into nerve signals.
Another word from Dorothy Ann. Cochlea comes from a word that means snail. The cochlea in your ear looks like a snail shell.
Where are your hearing centers? By Carmen. Put your 2 hands on your head just above your ears. Your hands are right over the hearing centers on the cortex of your brain.
This time we went to a different part of the cortex, the hearing center for the ear we were in. As soon as we were standing on it, we could somehow hear what the little kid heard. It was Miss Frizzle reading from her things-to-do list. She was nearby. Maybe there was still hope. Maybe the Frizz could rescue us.
Number 3. Have pizza with M.
What does M stand for?
Maybe she's meeting a friend named Mary or Matthew.
Maybe she wants mushrooms on her pizza.
It could mean anything.
No. Anything starts with A.
Frizzle fact. You can't hear with your ears alone. You need your brain, too.
Then we heard heels clicking on the sidewalk. They were Ms. Frizzle's heels. She was walking away. We had to follow her, so we ran for the bus. We sped over the brain, into the auditory nerve, through the ear, and out the ear canal. Then we started falling.
Whee! I'm skydiving!
Don't you need a parachute for that?
Miss Frizzle, wait for us! We need help.
I don't think she could hear us.
Now Hear This by Flory. Crickets have their eardrums on their legs. Mosquitoes can hear with their antennae. Snakes have no ears. They pick up sound through their bones.
I sure am hungry.
This time, there was no soft ear to catch us. We saw the hard sidewalk rushing up at us.
It's a long way down. Not long enough. We're going to crash. Soon. Now.
Then, just before our bus crashed, something amazing happened. A friendly dog smelling her way along Main Street snuffed us up. At first we were happy because we were safe. Then the full impact of our situation hit us. We were inside a dog's nose.
This is a nightmare.
It's slimy, too.
We'll never find Ms. Frizzle now.
Wisdom from the Frizdom. Never say never.
Dogs are super smellers, by Arnold. Dogs can smell odors that are very, very faint or very, very far away. Bloodhounds can tell one person from another just from the scent that comes through their shoes.
And it's time to change your socks.
My students have a nose for adventure.
Not me.
Where Are Your Smell Cells? By Alex. High up in each nostril is a little patch, about the size of a postage stamp. All your smell receptor cells are on these patches.
How many smell cells? By Phil. The human has 5 million smell cells in the nose. Does that seem like a lot? Not compared to a dog. A dog has 200 million.
Now that's a super smeller.
Dogs get a lot of information just by smell. In the dog's nose, we saw tunnels of bone all coated with smell receptors. Miss Frizzle's note said,
When the dog breathes, molecules come in with the air. They stick to the smell cells in the nose. Then the cells send messages to smell areas in the dog's brain.
We can smell what the dog smells.
I smell hamsters. We're coming to the pet store.
Frizzle fact. The air is full of molecules, tiny bits that float off fragrant things. These molecules are too small to see, but we can smell them.
Mr. Wilde drove to one of the smell areas. Then we could smell what the dog smelled. It was easy to tell when we were close to the pizza restaurant.
I smell books. We're near the library.
I smell flowers. We're passing the flower shop.
I smell a poodle.
All I smell is a puddle.
I smell pizza! It's the pizza place!
I love your outfit, Valerie.
Yours is great too, Mom. Frizzle fact.
Sniff, sniff. Try this. Smell something nice. Now sniff. Is the smell stronger? That's because more odor went up to your smell patches.
Smell Like a Moth by Amanda Jane. This moth has a sense of smell, but it does not have a nose. Its smell cells are in its feathery antennae. A male Polyphemus moth can smell a female moth from miles away.
Let's get out and have some pizza,
said Mr. Wilde. For once, we all approved of his plan. He drove out of the brain and back to the nose. Just then, the dog sneezed and the bus flew out. Through the windows, we saw the Frizz sitting at a table.
Look, it's the Frizz. She's eating pizza with her mom. So that's what M stands for.
Splash down! We landed right in her water glass. The bus got a good washing. It needed one. Then a waiter accidentally knocked over the glass.
Oops.
I wish my class could be here.
They must be great kids.
Yes, they are, and they love pizza, too.
We were tossed onto Miss Frizzle's pizza. Mr. Wilde tried to get away, but the pizza had extra cheese. While we were spinning our wheels, the Frizz decided to take a bite.
We're standing on Miss Frizzle's pizza. Uh-oh, she looks hungry. Eek!
We had been chewed out by teachers before, but this was ridiculous. We had to escape fast. Mr. Wild gunned the engine and the bus lurched out of the trees and onto Ms. Frizzle's tongue. It was covered with bumps. Between the bumps were deep gaps. Looking down into one, we saw food molecules being washed into the taste buds by saliva. Then, a wave of it swept us down too.
Do taste buds work better wet or dry? By Molly. They work better when they are wet. Food molecules dissolve in the liquid. Then they easily slide down between the bumps on your tongue.
Frizzle fact. Some of your taste buds are on your throat, cheek, and the roof of your mouth, but most are on your tongue.
We have to get away from those big, strong, gleaming, white teeth.
Don't worry. We'll be safe down in the gap.
We could have hidden out in the gap until Ms. Frizzle finished chewing, but that must have seemed too boring to Mr. Wild. He had school bus fever. He hung a sharp left into one of the taste buds. The taste cells inside the bud were changing the taste into nerve messages.
Vroom, vroom! This will give us a taste of excitement.
I prefer the taste of chocolate myself.
Your sense of smell helps you taste. By Gregory. When you chew, food molecules go into the air in your mouth. Then the air flows up the back of your throat and into your nose. When your nostrils are closed, the air cannot flow. That is why you may not taste much when you have a cold.
Here are the receptor cells the kids have visited so far. Rods and cones in the eye, hair cells in the ear, smell cells in the nose, and taste cells in the tongue.
How many flavors can you taste? By Ralphie. Our taste cells can detect only 4 tastes: bitter, sour, salty, and sweet. But people can taste over 10,000 different flavors. How is this possible? It's chocolate! Scientists say all the flavors we taste are mixtures of the 4 basic tastes combined with the many different smells from foods.
Frizzle fact. You can't taste with your mouth alone. You need your brain, too.
Before we knew it, we were traveling on a pathway of nerves to a taste area of Ms. Frizzle's brain. We climbed off the bus and stood on her taste cortex. Now we could taste what our teacher tasted.
Wahoo! It's our 4th visit to a brain.
This time, it's Miss Frizzle's brain.
Uh-oh, this could be our most dangerous trip yet.
We thought we'd love the taste of Miss Frizzle's pizza, but yuck! It was covered with anchovies. We were so grossed out that we ran away from the taste area of the brain as fast as we could. Luckily, Mr. Wild followed us in the bus.
This pizza is awful.
Hasn't she heard of pepperoni?
Don't talk, run!
Wait for me.
Catfish win the taste contest. By Wanda. A catfish may have the most taste buds of any animal. It has 175,000. That's about 50 times as many as the average human. Most of the taste buds are on the outside of the catfish's body. It can taste the food before eating it.
I can taste with my back and my sides and my head.
Chickens come in last. By John. Chickens can taste, but not very well. They have only 24 taste buds.
24 is plenty for me, thanks.
After all, it's only chicken feed.
Your skin is a sense organ.
by Carmen. Receptor cells in your skin send nerve messages to the touch center of your brain. Your skin senses include not only touch, but also temperature, itch, pressure, and pain.
The touch area of the cortex by Tim. Each part of your body has its own special section on the touch area of the brain.
We ended up on the part of the brain that gets touch messages from the hand. Once we were standing on it, we could somehow feel what Ms. Frizzle felt. When she felt something hot or cold, or hard or soft, we did too.
Brr, she's touching something cold. Now I feel something warm. Do you feel something soft?
Let's see where this nerve goes,
said Mr. Wilde. Back on the bus, we zoomed along the nerve pathways leading away from Ms. Frizzle's brain. At the end of the nerves were the receptor cells in her skin.
We're traveling to Miss Frizzle's skin. It takes a lot of nerve to go there.
Look at all the weird receptor cells in here.
Whiskers are touch organs by Shirley. Cats, dogs, mice, horses, and many other mammals have sensitive whiskers. Whiskers help animals find their way in the dark. A whisker may also detect food that the animal does not see.
Whoa! I almost missed that one!
Note, these whiskers are not sense organs.
Question: where is your sense of balance? Answer: in your ears. By Phoebe. In the inner ear, there are 3 hollow tubes called the semicircular canals. Hair cells in the canals send messages to your brain about your body's movement. Then your brain tells your muscles to adjust, so your body won't fall.
Ears aren't just for hearing.
They keep you upright, too.
Here's our exit,
said Mr. Wilde, driving out through a pore in the skin. Up ahead we saw the Frizz petting her mom's nice, soft cat. Mr. Wilde drove so fast that the bus flew right off Ms. Frizzle's hand and into the cat's inner ear.
Not another ear.
What a catastrophe.
We passed the snail-shaped cochlea used for hearing. Then we came to some hollow tubes. They are used for balancing. We hung on for dear life as we felt the cat jump. Next, we heard the rumble of a car engine. "Seatbelts, everyone," yelled Miss Frizzle, and off we went.
Shall we take a ride? Great idea, Val. Fred loves cars.
In my old school, we never traveled in a car while we were on a bus.
A word from Dorothy Ann. Semicircular means shaped like a half circle.
Cool cats keep their balance. By Tim. Why do cats land on their feet? Their excellent sense of balance helps them turn right side up. Cat falls. Balancing sense says, "You're upside down." Head turns. Spine twists. Back legs come down. Cat lands on feet.
Sensational Senses by Rachel. Birds of prey have the best vision in the animal kingdom. An eagle can see 8 times better than a person. Many snakes have sense organs that detect heat. This helps them catch warm-blooded prey. Fish have sense cells in lines on the sides of their body. These detect movement in the water. This helps fish escape from predators.
When the Frizz made a sudden swerve, we were catapulted out of the ear. We landed in the road behind Miss Frizzle's car. As the bus grew to its regular size again, Mr. Wilde beeped the horn and Miss Frizzle pulled over.
It's Mr. Wilde in my class. What a coincidence. I can't wait to meet them.
We told her about the meeting, and in no time we were all on our way back to school.
You must be Arnold. I've heard so much about you.
Uh-oh.
Miss Frizzle, you'll never believe this bus.
Never say never, Mr. Wild.
More Sensational Senses by Arnold. Mammals that are active at night have a mirror layer at the back of the eye. The mirror reflects light back into the eye, giving more light to the cones and rods. Birds can detect the magnetic field of the Earth. This helps them find their way when they are migrating.
Only 5? You've got to be kidding. By Michael. Everyone says there are 5 senses because long ago we knew about only 5. Seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and touching. Today, scientists have found about 20 senses in humans and animals combined.
For example, there are senses that detect gravity, electricity, ultraviolet light, and more.
People still use the phrase, the 5 senses.
Even though it isn't accurate. Yes, there's absence.
And incense?
That's nonsense. We got there just in time to sing our song and check out the refreshment table. Then, what a surprise, Miss Frizzle got an award. If anyone deserves an award, it's the Frizz. She's the most sensational teacher in school.
Yum! Pizza!
Yum! No anchovies.
We can taste and we can smell. We can balance very well. We like to see and hear and touch. We like our senses very much.
I'm so proud of my child.
I'm proud of mine, too.
Where will she take us next?
That's the big question.
Wisdom from the Frizdom. You never know where the frizz may go.
What's wrong with this book? There's a lot, take a look. This is a song of what's wrong. If you study this song, you will know what is wrong. This is a song of what's wrong. No matter what you think, a bus cannot shrink. This is a song of what's wrong. Kids can't tour a brain by bus, car, or train. This is a song of what's wrong. It ought to be clear they can't enter any ear. This is a song of what's wrong. And don't even try to drive through an eye. This is a song of what's wrong. Could they go in a nose? Not even if they chose. This is a song of what's wrong. Ms. Frizzle's skin is no place to go in. This is a song of what's wrong.
The ear of a cat. Oh, never, not that.
This is a song of what's wrong.
Children cannot hide among the taste buds on the teacher's tongue.
This is a song of what's wrong. And even if kids could stand on a plane, this is a song of what's wrong. They stand all in vain, let us explain. This is a song of what's wrong. Oh, you mustn't expect that memory could detect. This is a song of what's wrong. Whatever sensations were going around in the brain of a teacher, a cop, or a hound. This is a song of what's wrong.
In this hole, not
Let us hear from you.
Keep in touch. It's been sweet.
See you.
Who knows when they'll come again?